When it comes to EVE Online, every player wants to know the most effective tactic available. You want to know the meta. The meta controls everything. It determines what will and will not happen. Knowing the meta will alter your views, make you question your reality. It might even make you laugh. And now, you're part of it. You're watching The Meta Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Meta Show for June 5th, not January, June 5th, 2021. I'm Brisker Ball. I'm joined by the Matani. We have a crazy, absolute crazy show for you guys today. It is hard to put into words how crazy it's going to be with as many people as we have on the show right now. Let me just tell you. Boss, are you excited? It's a lot of people.
I think this is going to be amazing. We have, I would really like to thank Brisk because he has done an insane amount of work to be able to just get the green screen set up for everyone. I think this is the most guests we have ever had on the Meta Show at one time ever in the history of the show at this point. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'd have to scrape back a zillion years to be able to figure that out. So yeah, my camera is a little blurry because all of our cameras are actually going to get shrunk down to a very small size here. So I'm in low resolution blue shirt mode here today. We have a lot to talk about, but it's mainly going to be focused on the CSM. There is some war updatey kind of stuff, but the war has actually been super quiet this week because Sappy is losing their will to try to do anything. So whatever, I might end up accidentally hurting some blurfs today, but it is a blue shirt meta show, and we're mainly going to be talking about the fucking political brawl that's about to break out. So
that is correct. All right, so before we get started, I need to acknowledge some stuff that's happened during the week. All right, if you look on Reddit, you look around, there are a lot of people claiming that this game is toxic. Reddit is toxic. Everybody's being toxic. Goons are toxic. Everyone is toxic. The word of the day is toxic. So in an effort to not talk about things that are toxic or cringy or problematic, I'm going to get on my soapbox for just 1 minute. And all of my graphics are jacked up today for some reason, so I'm just going to deal with that. Where is my soapbox? You know what? Fuck it. I don't need a soapbox. I'm just going to do it live. I need to talk about something that happened in the past. Okay? Today is June 5th. Tomorrow is June 6th. Tomorrow is my 12th wedding anniversary. And so I wanted to say thank you and show you guys some pictures. Here's me and Mrs. Brisk when we were young and in love right after we got married, June 6th. That's not toxic, guys. That's not cringy. This is love. This is great. Here's another one. This is us right before I changed my costume because you guys know I like costume changes. I changed my outfit. I changed my costume and went white tie because it was at nighttime. Well, it wasn't night then, but it got to be nighttime. And that was us on our wedding day 12 years ago. Honey, thank you for putting up with all of my antics. Thank you for putting up with letting me be on this show and be on the CSM and play EVE and hang out with all of my goofy friends. Thank you for everything that you have done over the years. I don't know how anybody can say that we are toxic when we have women like that standing behind us. Let me just tell you. But that's I wanted to address at least that point this week before we get into what we're really here to talk about, which is the CSM election. We have an absurd number of people running for the CSM this year. The Imperium does. Overall, this is one of the top numbers in terms of players that have tried to get on the CSM that have actually been allowed to run. We've had more people running this year than we've had in quite a long time. I expect turnouts were going to be really high, but we wanted to introduce you today to all of the CSM members who are going to be running under the Imperium Ballot, and we're going to be announcing at the end of the show the official Imperium Ballot. I know you guys are waiting. You're desperately waiting to see who you're going to be voting for. Because in the Imperium, we have a very strong, fundamental belief in democracy, and we want you to exercise the freedom to vote exactly the way the state tells you. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. So I'm delighted here that we're all about to get to see how we will, of our own free will, choose to do exactly what we, including I guess me, are about to tell us all what to do. So, what exactly was it that are we about to reveal the ballot? Are we gonna press the
do
button?
the ballot after we're gonna go. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go into our special segment. This is the Imperium Bunch.
Oh my fucking god.
This is great.
There you go. We have so many people running that it's like we're on the Brady Bunch. We're on the Imperium Bunch today. This is the Meta Show CSM edition. We have Angry Mustache. Angry, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mom.
Broden.
All hail Pancake Cat.
There you go. Baculus, our dear friend from Delta Squad. No, not believing.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Delta Squad. Hi to my girlfriend who is watching this stream for some reason.
Micromancer.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you here. Thank you for coming.
Micro is the most famous person on this stream by far, let me tell you guys.
It's true.
My dear friend Merkel Chen, who respectfully asked to make sure that his head was bigger than mine, I did that for you.
But she said, hello, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Zenuria.
Hello, I am Zenuria.
And last but not least, Innominate.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so guys, this is by far the craziest CSM that I could remember. We literally have 8 Imperium candidates running on the same ballot. And boss, why don't you tell us a little bit about your whole philosophy about how we're going to do it this year? Because I think normally we would horse trade and do stuff around, but I think we're doing things a little differently this time, aren't we?
Yeah, things are a little bit different this year because all of the people that we would normally be doing deals with have spent the last year telling everyone that they could, themselves, us, the media, the world, that they needed to all get together to remove us and our community from the game EVE Online because we are toxic, evil people, and we are bad, 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 and thus we just shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be playing EVE Online at all. Thank you, Villy. Thank you, ProGod. Thank you to the rest of the sappy leadership. So our guiding philosophy this year is fuck all puppies forever. And we're not doing any kind of deals. And if you are one of the puppies that are now offended because mean words, swears, or whatever, good. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. We have never done this before. This is the first time that we have done a pure Imperium ballot. We do have a couple of other people that are not the candidates here that are going to be the last 2 slots that are independents. Like you'll find out that iBeast is on there, Satonia is on there as well. But there's no reason for us to make nice with these piss pee bitches who are constantly talking about how we're evil people and that we should be exterminated from the game. So fuck them. And maybe it'll blow up in our face. But my hope is that by doing a pure Imperium ballot, again, with Satonia and iBeast at the very last, that maybe we'll have more turnout. Maybe more people will get involved because there's no need to vote for Villy or Gobbins or any of these other dumb motherfuckers who've been talking about how our guys suck so much as people. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going with this. It should be a little bit different, and we'll see how it goes. You're muted, Brisk.
I love when he does this. It's my favorite. And he's still going.
He has no idea. He has no idea.
I hate it when I'm muted. Stop it. Thank you, Merc, for reminding me that I'm muted. I'm trying to be good. And do stuff the right way, but I'm fucking everything up. Here's the deal. Guys, listen to me, okay? This is critical. Turnout every year for the last 3 years has gone up steadily. When I was first elected on CSM 13, turnout was 29,000 voters. CSM 14, it was 33,000. CSM 15, it was 36,000. I expect we'll see 39 to 40,000 this time. We absolutely need every single Imperium member to vote early and vote often this time to make it possible for us to get as many guys on the ballot as we possibly can to get them elected. We cannot afford to sit back and assume that, oh, well, Merck always wins. Oh, and Almond always wins. Oh, Brisk always wins. No, we have to get folks out. You got to get out. You got to vote. It's critical. So make sure that you do that. And I think we have put together a pretty amazing group of individuals to run here, to run for CSM. And I think they all have great stories. And I want to go in and let these guys say in their own words why they're running and what they're doing. So I think we'll go ahead. We'll start up at the top. We'll do it in alphabetical order. I want to go through. Angry, tell us a little bit about why you're running. I'm going to work on getting your graphic up, so go ahead and talk.
Hey, so the main reason I'm running is that I see what CCP is doing with scarcity and industry changes, and I think that they're misguided and running off of not necessarily the best. Well, they have the data, but I don't think they're necessarily running off the best analysis of that data. So sort of the reason I want to run is I want to provide CCP with better information about how to go on with the economy in the future. So, as an example, here's one of the things that CCP has talked about is that they sometimes are lacking historical perspective because there's been a lot of churn at the company. So, Brisk, can you pull up the picture?
There it is.
So what you're looking at right now is a very long trend price data for certain items that I think is relevant to what's going on right now, specifically the capital ship changes. So as most of us know, for example, that CCP recently changed the build cost for capital ships, so that generally we predict that capital ships will cost around 8 to 10 billions to build, and supers and titans anywhere from 80 to 200 plus. And CCP apparently isn't very concerned about this because they think prices will adjust. And what this graph is showing is that prices don't adjust nearly as quickly as they would think. So what this picture shows is the price of certain items that have been turned into that was added in the planetary interaction patch in 2010. And the key item I want to pay attention is this brown line called guidance systems. And the importance of this specific item is that it went from being NPC seeded to PI produced. So the build cost went from 300 ISK to 60,000 ISK. And I want people to know that it took multiple years for this item to reach the new equilibrium cost, so to speak. And for multiple years, nobody was actually making this PI good.
There you go. Boss, I had to do that. It was funny. Sorry.
Sorry, was I on mute the whole time?
No, you weren't on mute, dude.
Fine. I had Matani on top of
I was
the
playing flight attendant. I was playing flight attendant. I was helping everybody, seeing,
It was legit. It was legit.
I see. Well, so, basically, the point I want to give to CP, it's going to take. I think it's going to take about 4 to 5, 3, maybe not that long, but at least 2 to 3 years for capital prices to rise to the point where people are actually going to build them. And the implication for that is for 2 to 3 years, the entire capital building industrial environment, so to speak, is going to be defunct. So there will be no mining to support that, no building to support that, and no selling, essentially, of new build capital ships to support that. Just want them to know that they've done this before, and the time window they're looking at for prices to adjust is much longer than they would think.
All right, so Angry is obviously running. He is a man with an agenda. He has an issue. He is trying to get it addressed. And hopefully I think that based on the conversations that he's had and the things that he's done in terms of the CCP interview and other things, at least they're getting out and they're hearing, hey, guys, your numbers have borked. Let's see if we can work together to fix it. So that's great. Bruton, tell me why you're running. Tell us why you're running.
First off, you know me and I hate monologuing, so I'll try and keep this short. I spend a lot of time working with people. I think that people are the most important asset in any organization, new players especially. The context of this game is that it's a sandbox, and I think that little market segment is what really makes Eve, and we need to focus on the community that revolves around this game. Whether friend, foe, anybody in this game is benefiting us because they're either friend or food. So it doesn't matter ultimately, as long as our population continues to go up, or starts to go up, I should say, after years of slow and steady, well, downward trends until the war broke out. I would love to see a lot of the younger organizations be benefited by an influx of new people. I'd love to see everybody benefited by an influx of new people. And the only way we're going to do that is if everybody takes the initiative, steps up, and takes a new bro under their wing. I mean, that's kind of the Karma Fleet way. I was asked in an interview, and I think it's the best question I've heard thus far, is why is there so many people from Goonswarm and Karma Fleet running? And the answer is simple. Our leadership style, Merc, down here, is set up so that he empowers people to make good decisions, empowers people to step up and aspire to good things. Why doesn't Pandemic Horde, why doesn't Legacy, why doesn't anybody else have this many people running? I think it's because of their leadership. And it is what it is. We have the best. We just are.
I think that's
hope everybody
pretty good,
has a good day.
commentary. I think that's a great commentary. And I'll tell you this, I love the person I want to hear the most before I go to bed every night is my wife. But damn it, Bruden is not a number two, like really close number two, because I can listen to him talk all day long.
That's
all
terrifying,
right.
Brisk.
It's true. It's true. Pancake Cat. Baculus, our friend from Delta Squad, please tell us why you got into this crazy race. What are you here for? What do you want to do?
I'm here to make New Eden better. Also, and just a second what Brisk said, Bruden, if you have like any audiobooks that you've read, if you could send me the MP3 so I could listen to that every night before I go to bed, that would be amazing.
Right. If you could read like Good Night Moon
so much
for me
better
and tape it, I would appreciate that. That would be great. Thanks.
Oh my God, what a crew.
You're making the sunburn worse. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
But so I am the Delta Squad candidate, Delta Squad number 1. But the reason that it's a collective platform. It's the Delta Squad platform. The reason we're involved is we want to see a lot of changes. Delta Squad, even though we're mostly a PvP organization, we want to see PvE changes. We want to see a greater amount of communication back and forth between, CCP and the player base. We want to see content focused on that communication and relationship, a lot more posting, a lot more believing. That's very important to us. We want to see faction warfare fixed for the first time ever, please. We really need to see that fixed. We want to see PvE fixed. We want to see industry quality of life changes made. We want to see regions broken out and made unique. We want to see more engaging gameplay for smaller groups of people. We want to see everyone on a level playing field. We're going out there and we're making content for our people by having fun and posting about it and being funny, and we're making content for the bad guys because we're giving them something to shoot at. That's our core values. That's what we want to do. And we're out here, all of us, glad handing, kissing hands, shaking babies, talking to everyone, making sure that people understand, yes, this is the Imperium ticket, but we're here for everybody. We represent everybody. We're reaching out to everyone. You can go to my website. My personal Discord is there at knownnotbelieve.in. You can talk to me directly. You can talk to anyone in Delta. We emphasize communication. Everybody who's a part of this amazing community, we have issues, but generally amazing community is special and makes EVE what it is, because it's a social game, and we want to empower that. We want to see CCP empower that, empower individual players and users to do more amazing things. And one last thing, because we have some of our wonderful Russian friends in chat, I just want to say привет, мой русский братья. Все знают, что я являюсь лучшим русским кандидатом в CSM.
Hell yeah.
That's what
Nicely
I'm talking
done.
about. All right, next up, Micromancer is by far the most famous of anybody that's on this show. He has been seen around the world. And I'm just so excited that I got to know him and I got to meet him. I got to get my picture taken with him. And I got a signed picture of the final boss of the internet.
That is correct.
To me.
That is correct.
Micro, tell us why you're running. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm running because, as Baculus just mentioned, this is a social game. And in fact, I think it starts with the NPE, that if you want to increase retention, social connections are required for long-term play in this game. And my main focus is hooking people that choose to install the game and then teaching them how to find the groups that they'll fit in with so that they'll be here long-term. The health of the general game is my main focus, working with a team is something that I'm capable of doing, good at, and looking forward to. And all around, this game is going to be with me for the rest of my life. And so I want to do what I can to make it the most comfortable, happy, funny, wonderful social experiment that everybody in New Eden deserves. That's basically my whole shtick right there. Is I want new players to come in, feel welcome, and engage with the community immediately, so that they become long-term players.
And for those of you who honestly think that you don't know who this guy is, let me just show you who this guy is. You know who this guy is. He is the final boss of the internet. That is my friend Micromancer of Karma Fleet.
Quite
Fucking
literally.
hero. Fucking
Quite
hero.
literally.
That is
Every single person that uses the internet is one level of separation or less from having seen that.
You all have seen it.
That is literally
our
him.
guy.
I have one of my like mementos, right? I get a bunch of weird shit in my collection from being the Space Emperor or whatever. And one of the things that makes me happiest is that I have an honest to God signed autographed print of that from the man himself. It is it is an honor. So yeah, it's really fucking him.
I'm telling you, like I told you this before.
The Imperium has more fun. We just have way more fucking fun. It is what it is.
This is fun. We are the fun group. All right, I'm going to skip Merc and Nam because they are incumbents. I'm going to go to Zenuria next. Zenuria, you are a former CSM member. You have run every time since CSM 11. You're up for what? Is this your 7th time? 6th time?
I can't count
math
very well. Neither can I. It's okay.
That's great. I loved the Aspels video. It was amazing.
Aspels?
It was great.
Aspels.
Aspels.
Aspels. Yeah.
Aspels. Tell us, what is making you do this for the umpteenth time now?
So this time around, I am running as the Triglavian candidate. I have spent months and months of my time exploring the unfinished space hell meets IKEA of horrible disappointment that is Passion. And I think if CCP is going to do anything with that region, they need someone on the CSM that actually knows word one about it. And that's why I'm running. And as a secondary to that, I have spent a lot of time on high-sec missions. Yeah, totally broken, by the way. The difference between LP payouts between a level 4 and a level 5, absolutely insane. The entire market for everything that comes from a loyalty point store, totally broken. You don't need an economist to tell you that. It's my hope that if I can get on, I can convince CCP to maybe even look in the general direction of these problems, and hopefully organically some kind of resolution will happen. But, you know, fingers crossed.
All right. And for those who haven't seen the video to which I was referring earlier.
Yes. Please. I hope. Are we doing it? We're
doing it. Here we go.
Fuck yes.
It's the Aspels.
EVE Online is going to become a game of ops for a while.
Aspels.
Oh, it went away.
Happy coalition.
We're willing to die.
I think we've done well.
There we go. That was it. That was it. I just wanted to show a little bit of Aspels before we pull it down, because I don't want us to get banned. But I love that video. It's
Fair enough.
Amazing. Pretty amazing Aspels.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things that I learned, you know, we put Zenuria on the CSM 11 ballot or whichever one it was, and you know, people might think that, you know, we're all weirdos here. We're all weirdos who play EVE Online, but one of the things about Zenuria is that he's absolutely unironic. Like, he can be ironic about things. He's very good at it, as you guys just saw. But if he gets on there like he did before, like, he will give it his all, and like, that's just what he's going to do. So you get what you get. Like, he will be absolutely dedicated to pursuing his agenda, like he is with everything else if he gets on there. Like, he is not a joke candidate in any way. yeah, but he also beat me to the ass bells gimmick because I was telling everybody that I was going to wear the TikTok leggings on the meta show and shake my ass around. And so I also sort of got to say thank you to Zenuria, because I think you just spared the entire galaxy from me shaking my ass around, because now it would be old and cold if I do it. So there you go. Who's next? Are we
All right,
going
we're going to go to Nom
to
Nom next, because Nom Nom is the elder statesman of the CSM. He has served on 5 CSMs. This will be his 6th CSM if he gets elected, which I think is probably likely because we have a pretty good idea what we're doing. Nom Nom, this is number 6. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Why are you doing this?
I don't know. I'm kind of trying to get out of it at this point, but the problem and the fact remains that the longer you're on the CSM, the more you learn about how it works, the more you learn about how it worked in the past. In all of the problems that we run into on the CSM this year, like I've been part of dealing with in previous years. So having everyone there being brand new like we were in CSM 11 was a huge handicap, because we spent most of the year just learning what the CSM is even supposed to be. And so, bringing that experience along is just too valuable for me to be able to get out of it. Thankfully, CCP has put in a rule, which means that if I do get on again, I have to take at least a 1-year break.
The Nom Nom rule.
Yes.
I mean, so at least I know a nominate very well. I know he doesn't like to talk about himself very much, so I'm going to talk about him for a minute, because I'll tell you, there are a lot of people who ask me, who's the best CSM? Who are the best CSMs that you've worked with over the years? And there are a handful of names that I always pull out. I will always say Sword Dragon. I know people hate him, but he was a good CSM member, and I always worked well with him. People will always ask me, who was the best expert that you work with? I'm always going to say Suetonia. That guy knows everything and has forgotten more about Eve than any of us have learned over the years. And I love having him there because he's great. He's like a font. It's like having like, a dictionary plus a Wikipedia plus an encyclopedia plus Alexa, like sitting there about Eve. You just ask him, hey, what's the sig radius on this ship, with this thing? No sitting there. Shut up, Alexa. How dare you? He's just so good. So I love having Suetonia sitting there. And I love having Nom Nom, because an Ominate knows everybody. He's been there forever. He has literally seen everything. He has seen the CSM when it works great. He has seen the CSM when it was at its lowest point and most dysfunctional. He has relationships across the game, and he's got relationships at CCP that are just phenomenal. I love the guy. I'm very pleased to serve with him. He is our elder statesman. So thank you, Nom Nom, for being here, and thank you for working with me over the years. Last but not least, we have the man who needs no introduction. He is our dear favorite Rampage Incorporated chairman of the board and Karma Fleet CEO, Mr. Merkelchen. Why are you running, sir?
Risk, I'm going to skip that. I hate to buck the trend, but
no, you're allowed. You don't have to answer my questions. Go ahead, do what you want.
I am not going to sit here and pretend we're having a student council election and make a bunch of promises that I can't keep. Sadly, being on the CSM is not about what I want. It's about being able to navigate what CCP wants. The greatest accomplishments of most CSMs are the things that were prevented, not the things that you brought to the table that they've been hearing for 15 years that they needed to do something about, okay? I'm a person that can work with other humans. I am a good communicator, and I've been around the block enough times to know what to look out for at this point. I encourage all of the folks that are running this year to continue to rock your platforms. I think it helps to add some color to the candidates, just so people sort of know what your area of focus is. But make no mistake, you will be on a focus group and you will not be setting the agenda yourself. You're going to be responding to the things that a company that's existed for almost 20 years is set on doing. So be that as it may, we go up there, we fight the good fight. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Our greatest triumphs are stories you will never hear. And it's just something that I am very, very good at. And I think more often not than now, even though I'm not a candidate that's in public, my block puts me there. I answer to the Goon Swarm. I don't have to go do shows for puppies or anything like that. If they choose to participate in the block, that's great. But I don't count on that. And I try to always think when we're having discussions at the table, the big table as we call it, how's this going to affect the nullsec way of life that me and all of the players that I hang out with participate in? And I think maybe that backdrop is super helpful when you're trying to assess, is this good, bad, indifferent? Should I be against it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't really have a elevator pitch for my candidacy other than to say, I know what the hell I'm doing and you can trust me.
That's not bad. I've heard worse. It's all like, the old days when they asked Teddy Kennedy why he was running for president and he couldn't figure it out. So, listen, I think, frankly, if you look here, you have a huge cross-section of the game. You have a number of very seasoned former and current CSM members. You have one of the best numbers guys I've ever seen. You've got the dean of Karmafleet University who knows everything there is about the New Bro stuff. You've got Baculus who has demonstrated that he knows how to grassroots organize, that he is a PvPer that loves to go out there, meme it up, have a good time, and has been around this game for a long time. You've got Micro, who is a line member in Karmafleet just like me, who's gone out there and is putting himself out there, who has demonstrated how cool he is just by the fact that he's willing to go and wear a Speedo in front of the entire planet. And that, frankly, to me, is as much as part of the CSM as anything else, because I'll tell you, I love the candidates that are willing to do funny things to get elected, like myself. Micro is cut from the same cloth as me. Zenuria, if you don't know Zenuria, I don't understand how people don't know who Zenuria is, because he has been doing this for so long, and if you have been in local and you're on the other side of this war, at some point you have blocked him from local because he has so damaged your psychological well-being that you couldn't listen to him anymore. It's just what happens. And Merc and Nam, these guys are great. So Mittens, you were on a CSM way back on CSM 6. Can you tell us what it was like for you when you were on there? Because I want to kind of get these guys an idea, because it's changed over the years, and I think it was a lot different back then. And you had to deal with the Summer of Rage and all kinds of shit that caused all kinds of problems. You kind of demonstrated what the CSM can do. Prior to that, the CSM was kind of toothless, but you guys really stepped up and made it a big deal. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Alrighty, story time. So just for reference, the CSM originally existed because of the backblast from the T20 scandal, right? When a CCP developer was found to be leading capital fleets for Band of Brothers, was making Saber BPOs and ammo BPOs, and it's just a Saber BPO, that kind of thing. But once the CSM was actually implemented, it was sort of after the Great War, and once it got going, the first few CSMs, most people in nullsec just didn't really pay much attention to it, right? Initially, it was sort of a shit show. You had Jade Constantine and Darius Johnson, and it was just, nerds screaming. And who knows, maybe it was cool and good. I wasn't around at that point. By the time that I become CEO of Goonswarm, the CSM5 had no real nullsec representation at all. And we realized too late that the CSM was critically important for all people involved in all aspects of the game to have a part in if you want your gameplay to be represented. Not because you would necessarily get what you wanted through, but to stop idiots who had no idea what they were talking about from touching a third rail, right? So in the situation that we had with CSM5, which is before nullsec took over the CSM and all of this whining conspiracy theory stuff, you had a bunch of high sec players, low sec players, not nullsec, telling CCP Grayscale that they should remove all jump bridges. And none of these people had ever used a jump bridge. They had no idea what a jump bridge were. They might claim that they understood the mechanics or understood how nullsec operates, but they had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. So after that, CSM 6, which was the CSM that I was the chairman of, we in nullsec got together and we said, well, we have to stop this, because if we don't have representatives that are actually adults on the CSM, some idiot is going to tell Grayscale, some idiot on the CSM is going to find some idiot in CCP and agree with some terrible idea, and a whole bunch of dumb shit is going to happen. So when we took over the CSM, when there's this huge backlash from all of nullsec saying, oh my God, we couldn't have ignored this. Every single block worked together because we realized the danger. Like the CSM, if it is not stocked with good people, is a threat to the interests of everyone who does not have a representative on the player base. So I think it's important to have a CSM that is well stocked with player representatives that are experts in their fields and also aren't like just cripplingly politically inept people like Olmeca Gold. So that's really what it comes down to. And the CSM is sort of what you make of it, right? Like one of the things that I realized when we took over was there's a tremendous power in being the chairman of the CSM, right? Nobody had done anything with that before. But what we did was like, okay, we're going to work together. We're going to decide things amongst ourselves. We're going to present a united front to CCP. We're going to do this. We're going to treat it like it is a lobbying group and then use the bully pulpit, and you get the media attention. You do interviews and you put a spotlight to highlight issues on that need a spotlight put on them. And this was very useful. Some CSMs don't do this. Also, the culture at CCP has changed. The people that used to be at CCP that were part of like the infamous party crew, like back in the day, some of the stuff the CSM 6 Ragers were insane, right? It was a wild time in EVE Online. There was the emergency summit, there was riots, there was just tons. Like I ended up going to Iceland 5 times in 1 year. Like there's one of the things that the puppies say about me a lot that is incorrect, FYI, is I was asked to resign from the CSM before I took my wizard hat 30-day penalty because I was asked by John Lander to who is no longer with CCP. CCP Unifex to run again in CSM 8 because they liked the way that we had run things and managed things as a sort of a professional organization that knew how to do the horse trading, because what's good for the CSM can be good for CCP, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. If we all work together to avoid people blowing the game up in Karna style, then everybody can be happy. But a lot of those people aren't there anymore. It's a different crew. They don't like to dance on tables at Barbara late in the night. You don't have Techno Viking or any of those guys. They all ended up at Riot. The chess boxing era of CCP is sadly over. But the CSM is an opportunity. Fundamentally speaking, the CSM is an opportunity. You can take it and you can turn it into something wonderful that actually makes change and does things, or you can have it be purely defensive, or you can just fuck the whole thing up completely. So one of the things to keep in mind is that when people are saying the CSM is this, the CSM is that, just go with it and make it what you will. That's what I got on it.
I like that. All right. I'm gonna throw out some stuff. I just wanted you guys to chat a little bit, but I know Zenuria had something he wanted to say. So Zenuria, tell us what's on your mind.
So I want to point out something that you can be running for this important internet spaceship focus group. You can be the smartest person in the game. You can have the best platform. You can have all these great ideas. You can have the literal cure to the things that ill CCP as a company. But if you are not an effective communicator, if you are not capable of bridging the gaps between the varied personalities that play this Bond villain simulator that we call EVE, then you're not going to get anywhere. And I would like to remind people that my communication skills are so good that in 2 months, I convinced a Horde Keepstar to unanchor itself and remove itself from the system I was in. So imagine what I can do communicating with actual human beings and trying to convince them that what they're proposing is maybe not so great and maybe they should try thinking about this thing or that thing. And that's all I'm really saying is you have to be able to communicate. It's more than just, I'm really smart and I know things. You have to talk to people.
And I think that's absolutely true. And I think, Mark, that's the textbook Mark talk, being able to communicate and talk to people. What's been your experience with that? I mean, how is Zenuria right? I think he's right, but I want to hear you say it.
Yeah, I think what typically happens is the first time you get up there in person, the CCP people, depending on their tenure with the company, have interacted with up to a dozen, in some cases, different CSMs. So you may be going through this novel and fun process for the first time thinking, I'm going to shoot out of this like a cannon. They're a little bit less enthusiastic than you are about it. They're going to talk to a focus group who's going to tell them how bad their ideas are, and this is why it's broken, et cetera, et cetera. So I do agree with that. Once you kind of get to know each other, you'll start to notice that the subject matter experts within the company, maybe somebody like CCP Rise, if related to things of ship balance or something like that, they kind of take cues from the things that they hear from you, and maybe you're going to get a message, private on Slack saying, hey, what do you think about this? We were thinking about going this direction. What do you think? So maybe you can even influence things before it ever gets to the CSM. That's something that happens really, really frequently. And it happens when you have the wherewithal and the social grace to interact with folks in such a way that doesn't make them immediately despise you. I have seen people belly up to that table and be absolutely loathed minutes into the process, and it makes for a very, very long CSM. So being a good communicator, trying to understand they don't owe you anything. It is never implied that you're going to have a fair or equitable relationship with back and forth. It's just not like that. You get really, really good about not having your sensibilities be offended when you're on the CSM, because they're certainly not doing this for your benefit. They're doing it for a game that is intended to produce revenue, as any gaming company is. So a little bit different, I think, once you get there and actually see the inside of those walls. But communication is number one.
And I think to Mark's point, I think this is a thing that people always got to remember. No matter how good your idea is, it's going to cost them money to do it, and they need to make a return on that investment. So if you're going to tell them you need to spend 6 months and $600,000 of dev time to fix this thing, it's usually a good idea to say, and I think this is how it's going to impact retention. This is how it's going to help people. This is how you can monetize it so that you can get something out of it, because otherwise that's just a sink and they're not going to care. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit more in general, especially the guys that haven't had a lot of chance to talk yet. Baculus, you've been doing PvP. You've been fighting this war the whole time. When you talk to other players, when they come to gripe at you knowing that you're a CSM candidate, what are the issues that they're bringing to you that they're complaining about? What are you hearing from them?
Well, I mean, a lot of players are concerned, obviously, about the economy and things right now. Players are concerned about their gameplay, like really fundamental issues with gameplay and engagement with their chosen play style. A lot of small gang players, a lot of mid gang, smaller fleet players, a lot of smaller alliances have huge concerns because they're these tiny fish in a large pond. And I've heard a lot of those concerns since I threw my Discord out there. I've gotten a lot of messages, but it's broad. It's broad. I mean, we have RP players who are very concerned about lore and content in that direction. And I think one of the appeals for our broad ticket, which it is broad, there are 8 of us here right now, right? I think one of the best things about the broad ticket is kind of going to what Merck said. There are a lot of us who are familiar with the material reality of stopping a company from making disaster. For some of us here, not trying to dox anyone, but all right, Brisk, you're like a public figure, so I'll point to you and I'll say, yeah, you. A lot of us have had to deal with a lot of varied groups of stakeholders where we have had huge issues. We have had a lot riding on decisions that were being made and either stopping things from being implemented or changing the way things were done. And I think that that's a big appeal to the Imperium ticket as a whole. For a lot of us, that's what puts food on our table. And to what Mitten said, we're diverse. We have a lot of experts in a lot of different fields, and the ability to leverage the bully pulpit and put a spotlight on issues comes from those of us who have that professional background, while at the same time, I do think that the diversity of experience is necessary. And to the extent that, because I can't pretend like I've done everything in EVE. I've never done high-sec mission running and stuff like that. But when a player comes to me with their experience, I rely on them to relate it to me and to give them the benefit of the doubt and to hear what they're saying and then communicate those issues. Because that's, I mean, at least in my case, that's what I do on a daily basis. Is I hear from people, I have no idea what they're doing, out in the field, and I have to relate their concerns. And I'm sure you as well hear from people where you're not intimately familiar with the details of their job, but you have to relate their concerns. And so as a communication body, I feel like the Imperium ticket is incredibly strong and good at recognizing issues. And I feel like we're all open and available to the people who want to come and talk to us.
And I think to your point, that's absolutely true. And I think that's one of the critical things. But I also want to highlight what you said about experts, because I think that's pretty critical as well. There's a lot of people that claim or believe that because you get elected to the CSM, you're an expert. And I think that's absolutely not true. I think there are experts that get elected to the CSM, but just because you get elected doesn't mean you're smarter than anybody. But let me tell you, Angry Mustache is smarter than most of us. So I want to hear a little bit from Angry. You know, you've done the math. You are our go-to guy for the math stuff. What do you think, if you're able to get elected and you get in there and you get these guys to fix some of these issues that we've seen with the MER, some of the data that they put out, what do you think the impact is going to be on players? How is that going to benefit the player base?
So if there's one thing I would try to communicate to CCP is that they have all the tools for scalpels, so they should be using scalpels and not hammers. So just using the previous example of capital ship prices, that a lot of people were upset, well, not upset, but they had concerns that, you know, oh, dreads are too big, they don't mean anything, and, you know, I want losses to be meaningful. And CCP takes that information, and through some process, that translates into dreads that cost 10 billion. And now the people who were complaining that you know, dreads were too meaningless before are saying they're too expensive to use now. And sort of continuing with that, with that is that with the industry work, they actually have put all the tools in place, but they do need someone to sanity check their numbers, because as I think we've all seen from the way they release their patch notes, that and how quickly they push them through, there's not enough time in the process to review what the final impact is, and someone who can give them the final impact has to be able to do it quickly and accurately. And I think I can probably do that better than any other candidates running. No offense to anyone here.
I don't think any of us are going to take offense, because I think, frankly, that is obviously what, you know, your forte, because it's definitely not something I do. I'm math averse. I'm allergic to it. I break out in hives and shit, so I'm a lawyer. But I wanted to say there's a couple of things that I think are important that I want to bring up, and I want to talk a little bit about this stuff with Micro, because Micro's a line member. He's like me. And when I first ran in CSM 13, I got a lot of people for a matter all on down saying, well, you're just a line member. Why are you running? What can you add to the game? And I thought I had a pretty unique perspective. And so to Micro, to the guys that say, you're just a line member, why should we vote for you? What's your response to that? Because I'd like to hear if it's the same as what I said.
You don't have to be in leadership to be a person that can get people together and create the kind of memories that are necessary for you to be invested in the game. For me, the thing that is important is getting out there and making those memories for other people. I consider myself a content creator, not that I generate kill mails, but because I create memories for all of New Eden. Wherever I go, I make sure that I make an impact, and I do it in ways that'll stick with you, which is the way, you know, I support Weebskins, because they create a situation that will make that memory stick. You've got a lot of people that are polarized on this issue, and the people that absolutely despise them, those guys are going to remember being killed by a guy in a maid costume. I'm telling you, the long-term memory impact that you give this game is critical, absolutely critical. And you don't have to be a guy crunching the numbers up in whatever SIG or running the corporation. I respect Mark and I respect Mittens and all those people that actually do that job. That's not me. I don't want to spend my time doing paperwork. I want to spend my time out in space, losing ridiculously expensive ships, doing the dumbest shit like exploration in a Thanatos. Can you imagine the Sveeple? I guarantee the Sveeple that locked me up and attacked my Thanatos that was named Stratios, he remembers to this day a Stratios that launched fighters at him in a data site to this day, because that is the kind, I am the chaos candidate. This is what I do, is memories, impact, and long-term investment in the game through the social connections that you make. And you don't need to be leadership for that. It helps, but you can still make those connections without having to be the guy that everybody's looking up to. You really just don't.
I agree 100%. Burden, You are our new player guy. I'd like to hear from you. What are the complaints? What's the most common thing you hear from new players about EVE when you get them into Karma Fleet University? You're trying to get them trained up. What do you hear the most from them?
Negative?
Like, what I don't understand. Like, what's
what
the
people
thing
don't
that you
understand
have to teach
right now is what is the natural progression in EVE Online? And the answer is simple. There isn't one. It's a sandbox. You can do what you want. There's benefits and pitfalls to anywhere you live. There's different opportunities wherever you go. There's different everything wherever you may decide to set down roots. It comes down to very basic human nature. We all want to be part of something. And the toughest part is getting people into a group. If for those who are not part of Karma Fleet University or don't know me personally, I'm telling you, if you have a new player in the game, get them involved with somebody. Get them involved with someone somewhere. If you're a new player or you're thinking about playing EVE, get involved with a group. I mean, pancakecat.com. It sounds like a meme. There's some pictures of cats on there. No harm, no foul, I hope. But I've pretty much laid out what I see as a good option for getting new players involved with groups early on in the game, early on in content. Treat the environment as it stands, not what you wish it would have been 10 years ago. And I think that's one of CCP's biggest pitfalls is they just are living in the past. You gotta go with what the people are wanting that come in the game right now. And what they want is to play the game. They want to get in, they want content, they want to be a part of the community. And it's everybody's responsibility to help facilitate that. CSM candidate, line member, director, it doesn't matter. It's all of our jobs to take care of the new people that are coming into this game, because without a next generation, we're not going to have a game to play.
100% right. All right, we're getting near the end of our time. We're gonna in a minute here. We're gonna go ahead and release the ballot. I'll put it up on the screen. You guys can look at it. Nom.
Yep.
You've been here forever. You know everything. You have any advice for these new kids?
I actually want to touch on a comment that was made in chat a little bit earlier, and something that comes up every year, which is basically complaining about the number of nullsec candidates that are either running or getting onto the CSM. And this is something that drives me bonkers, because you can't be like, to be a high sec candidate, you have to live in high sec and do nothing but high sec. To be a low sec candidate, you have to live in low sec. It doesn't matter how much of this you do. If you touch null sec, you're a null sec candidate, regardless of your experience or activity anywhere else in the game. And I think the simple fact is that nullsec players tend to be the ones that are involved in a wide variety of activities. It's people all through Goon Swarm they have high sec alts. They spend time in high sec. They engage in low sec and small gang PvP, and they do everything. And so, saying, oh, well, this person's running and they're from a nullsec alliance. Well, yeah, it just means that they have seen more of the game than just one piece of it. And a good example of this is one of the things that I spent a few years arguing for and repeatedly getting an entirely nullsec CSM on board was the war deck changes. We had an entirely nullsec CSM for 3 years in a row agree that high sec war decks were the biggest problem facing the game. And the solution that we were proposing wasn't even one that was going to help us. The changes meant Goon Swarm is still permanently war decked, but it now means that new players in high sec can join corporations, actually make friends, and not get bowled out of the game as soon as some random high sec war deck group finds them.
Would you say the diversity of thought is more valuable than diversity of labels in that respect?
I just think it's unfair to label somebody as, well, frankly, any kind of specific candidate just because they happen to touch that part of the game. So
Exactly.
it's not
And
a
I agree with
question
that
of
100%. I mean, the bottom line is you just stop. The guys that are out there that keep thinking we got to have one group that does this and one person that does this. I mean, there are obviously, you want to have viewpoint diversity. I agree with that 100%. And that's great. But you can have that in those candidates. That's why you have to evaluate each candidate on their own. You can't just say, well, this guy does this, so he must know this. Because we all know. Sometimes it's just the name. Sometimes it's just that person does this, but is he as good as somebody else that's there? You never know.
And the worst CSMs are the ones who have one aspect of the game that they know and they follow. Because then, first of all, if CCP hasn't decided that they're going to work on that part of the game, okay, you serve no purpose on the CSM now. Even if they do, then you sit there through an entire year on the CSM, and you have nothing to contribute except to this one little area that you know.
Right.
And that's a waste of votes.
I agree with that. I think that if you're a nullsec candidate or a wormhole candidate, you're too focused and you're not going to be able to speak as one voice when you have to approach an issue. That you should not. I live in nullsec, but I don't consider myself a nullsec candidate. I'm a New Eden candidate. I'm here for the health of the game.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, we're at the very end of the show. Mark, how about you introduce the Imperium Ballot for us, and I'll throw it up on the screen for you.
Sure. This year, this is going to look a lot like previous years, with the exception that we have not done the typical horse trading. Most years, we'll try to pull a little razzle-dazzle and work out some deals. If you guys remember, I think it was 2 CSMs ago, we did some ballot work with Darkness, and we took a lot of flack for working out a deal with Sort Dragon. Sort Dragon whiffed on his candidacy, and a nominant walked onto the CSM smelling like a rose. So there's a lot of thought that goes into how we set up the ballot. Getting a lot of votes, believe it or not always the most important thing that happens. You also have to survive long enough for your votes to transfer, because each round of progression that happens during the single transferable voting system, people are being swept out. The people that are being swept out, their votes are then being allocated to the next person in line on their ticket. This is critical. We understand this better than any other group does, and this is why the Imperium has sent something like 40 CSM candidates to date. It's unbelievable. There was a year where we were sitting at the table where I think 5 people in my corp were on the CSM and 7 were within the Imperium one way or another. It was unreal, and credit to the math wizards who figured this shit out years before I ever got here. We've just taken what's worked and run with it. So you're going to see our incumbents coming up 1, 2, 3, myself, Anominate, and Mr. Brisk Rubal. Brisk is the hardest working campaigner in all of New Eden. He does this every year. It seems exhausting. I have no idea how he keeps up with it to date. We are counting on Brisk to carry himself to the finish line, and we are counting on our down ballot candidates to survive long enough for vote transfers, right? Because as you start to pluck people off of the top, you have to get through the first couple rounds before the ballots start to spill. If you've been voted out in the first round, us having you at 3, 4, whatever, it just doesn't matter ultimately. So realistically speaking, I think if this year is like the previous years, we would expect to get 3 candidates onto the CSM, unless, Delta or Bruden or somebody has some absolutely amazing razzle dazzle to show us, and those guys end up getting through the first couple rounds. You never know, though. This is one of those things where we can anticipate what we will do. We cannot anticipate what the rest of the game will do. So as Brisk was saying, maybe we get 39,000 in turnout this year. Maybe we get 29,000, right? And in that second scenario, suddenly we're going to be walking a lot of people into the CSM. So stick with the ticket. It's critically important that you do so. If you try to adjust the ticket in some way, shape, or form, I can promise you 2 things will happen. Your candidate will lose, and then other candidates of ours will lose. So if you like the idea of a bunch of people who absolutely hate you and want to eradicate you from this game, sitting on the CSM and helping to design the future of this game, screw around with the ticket, okay? Otherwise, I have good news. Next year, Anominate and I are hitting term limits. Brisk is a year away from that himself. A year past us, I should say. So there are going to be a lot of empty seats. Start communicating now if you envision yourself wanting to take a run at those, okay? As soon as we get through this election, let's have a conversation about what comes next year, because we need to start positioning for it, and we need to make sure that we continue the dominance there in Reykjavik, because it is incredibly helpful. I know I can come off as sort of sounding like I'm dissuading from the importance of the CSM. That's not what I'm doing. It's just important in a way that most people aren't really thinking about. You know, it is critically important that our interests are represented. And when I say our interests, I mean the play style that tens of thousands of us and our friends engage in. So good luck to everybody on the ticket. Wish you the best. Hope to see you there in Iceland. Otherwise, I'll keep your seat warm for next year.
All right. Guys, it's been great having all of you here. I actually cannot believe that we went with 9 guests and it was as good as this. I mean, this was a textbook way of how to run a show. Thank you guys all for coming. I just want to say thanks very much to Angry, to Bruden, to Baculus, Micro, Zenuria, Merc and Nam, our old school Meta Show guests. Mittens and I have been doing this for almost 2 years now, I guess a year and a half now, something like that. It feels like it's been a lot longer than that. One last thing. There's not a lot of war herf blurfs to say, but I will say this. If you guys have noticed the op-tempo from the bad guys, if you guys have noticed the creation of all this outside of game drama that has nothing to do with Eve, if you've noticed all that stuff, I think what that tells you is we're winning, okay? Our rhetoric is working. The things we are trying to do to stop the bads from doing what they're doing to us, it's working. Get out there, go out there, keep doing what you're doing. You're getting under their skin. We're having an impact. I'm very pleased with that. Mittens, do you have anything, final things to say before we sign off?
Eat shit puppies, you know, the usual. You know, as long as playground names keep working, we're going to keep throwing playground names. Like if eat my ass is enough to get these guys to have public meltdowns, we'll keep saying eat my ass. I mean, whatever works. We're fighting the entire goddamn galaxy. I just want, before we get to the fireside tomorrow, I want to let you all know this has been a great week for us in the Imperium. We not only stopped them cold, we got the Keep Star up in 3-Deck D, and we have been mulching them. So fighters, carriers, supers, when you see flash forms go through, immediately get there. We might have some action tonight. I have no idea. There's always some more Asbels to be blowing up. So yeah, just eyes on, keep on doing what we're doing. We're doing great, guys, and let's keep it up. That's all I got. I mean, I'm fucking happy with it. Winning is a lot more relaxing than being on defense. I'll tell you that much.
It's definitely more fun when we're winning. Let me tell you. All right, everybody. Yeah. This has been the Meta Show for June 5th, 2021. I am Brisker Ball, joined by the Matani and the cast of thousands that are the Meta Show's Brady Bunch here. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you got a lot out of it. Vote the Imperium Ballot. Voting opens June 8th through the 15th. All Omega accounts can vote. Every single Omega that you have can vote. If you're one of those guys with 80 Omega accounts because you used to run all these Rookwalls and you still have them subbed, make sure you get out and vote every single one. We'll make it easy for you. Just go to the Goon website on Tuesday. We'll get it all set up, just like we've done in the past. I'm out of here. Thank you once again. Brisker Ball, Matani, our crew. You stay classy, New Eden.